Welcome, everyone. Welcome to The Mystery is Over, 3 Secrets to Female Sexuality Every Woman Needs to Know. Today's talk is brought to you by The Mystery is Over, Understanding Female Sexual Health, and World Integrated Systems in Health. I'm your host, Dr. Sandy Bavacqua. I'm a PhD in molecular and cellular biology and a women's health expert specializing in female pelvic and sexual health, hormone balancing, nutrition, and blood chemistry analysis. So congratulations to everyone on coming to this webinar. Every one of you is welcome here. And I'm happy to say that we now have thousands of women who have registered for this call who obviously care enough about themselves to learn more about their sexual health and to explore what their bodies are capable of. We have healthcare providers who are interested in learning more about what they were not taught in school, mothers and grandmothers who want to be able to gift this information to their daughters and granddaughters, young ladies who are eager to know what their bodies are capable of, and there are men who have come to learn more about how to care for their ladies at home. This talk is an introduction to the information that will be completely presented during the next 3 months in a program called The Mystery is Over, Understanding Female Sexual Health. I can't possibly give you everything that will be presented in that program today, but I will give you plenty of information to get started with. So I want to tell you a little bit about how I got involved in this particular field. Years ago, I was a very physically active young lady. I had been in a number of very active sports. I was in horseback riding and extreme skiing. I had a few falls and such, but nothing that had really, hurt me so much. But I didn't realize that I may have set myself up for a bit of damage. And then I had a big baby boy, a total delight, but he blew out my pelvic floor. I had terrible issues that happened as a result of that birth. Organs that were not where they belonged and were falling down, and pain issues, sexual dysfunction. There was all kinds of problems. And it wasn't just the birth. I think that there were some issues with those sports falls beforehand that sort of set me up for that. But I became passionate to learn how to care for my body without going through surgery. It turns out that a lot of the healthcare providers that I was in touch with really wanted me to go through surgery, but I knew of women that had done that, and they didn't have good results. So it took me 12 years to put my pelvic floor back together. And during that time, I got frustrated. I received a lot of negative messages about myself. It didn't help my self-esteem. I received all kinds of comments from healthcare providers telling me that I should, this is the way it is, and I had to put up with it, and there was nothing that could be done, some of them said. But some did help me, and I did eventually piece together all of the different parts. And I put together a program called the Pelvic Health Transformation Program. And that program has helped many, many women regain their pelvic floor strength, but also to reconnect their entire pelvic floor and pelvic bowl to the rest of their body. They have greater continence, so both urinary and fecal continence. Those problems tend to go away. Urinary urgency gets addressed. And guess what? As women were going through the program, they were coming to me and saying, my libido is back. I'm feeling like I want to be sexually active again. What do I do now? And so the Mystery is Over program was born, and that was to help the women that were coming through that were getting their sexual health back. So, and the same thing happened to me. My sexual health came back as my pelvic floor came together. But it wasn't until I had all these other women going through that process that I realized, oh my goodness, we really have a need to know more about sexual health. So that's how the program came to be, and welcome. So, ladies, I know you were never taught about your sexuality. The women in your life didn't teach you because they didn't know. Most women hope and pray that their intimate partners will know, but they don't know because the women they learned from didn't know. Most men receive no female anatomy or sexuality training whatsoever, and the men that learned from the internet porn or high school buddies received misrepresentations and complete myths about women's sexuality, which lead to unhealthy beliefs, unhealthy expectations, and unhealthy practices. Due to the lack of education, most women have gone to their deathbeds never realizing their innate sexual potential. And I deeply feel that this is a travesty, but it can stop right here and now with you. Knowledgeable sexual activity is good for everyone. It promotes excellent immune health, cardiovascular health. It creates greater strength while decreasing stress. It helps to prevent and reverse incontinence, organ prolapse, and pelvic pain if it's done well. And sex can increase one's capacity to experience and display pleasure, creativity, passion, happiness, love, compassion, and wisdom. We women are trained from birth to experience our value, our wholeness, and our own self-love through the service and care we bring to others, to our husbands and children, parents, clients, to our community, or through our observance of a spiritual path. We are not taught to love ourselves for who we are. Instead, our self-worth is determined by who accepts or loves us, rather than seeing ourselves as perfect exactly the way we are. So, research tells us that 10% of women have never had experienced any type of orgasm, and depending on what population is polled, 75 to 85% of women cannot have an orgasm with the stimulation of intercourse alone. And most women in the world are raised in cultures that really prize male attributes and archetypes, and it ignores or perhaps even disabuses female attributes and archetypes. And I'm going to tell you, our clients report that many of them have never, ever touched their genitals with any sexual intention and know little to nothing of how that's done. And our healthcare providers really have never learned the truth about female genitals the way you're going to learn about them, even with what I'll teach you today. So I'll tell you that everyone that participates in this program is going to end up having a brand new idea of how their body works. You'll end up having new orgasmic experiences, and you will have a deepening of your understanding of your orgasmic potential. I don't know about all of you, but I can tell you I never received anything close to an education as to the intricacies of my own anatomy. My entire education came from a diagram in a book my father gave me when I experienced my third menstrual period. It showed the uterus, 2 fallopian tubes, and 2 ovaries. What? I was 10 years old, and I didn't get it. There weren't many words that went with the image, and my dad was not willing to discuss the matter further. And I didn't have a mom, so there wasn't any other education. Then, in high school, there actually was a high school sex education class, and what I remember most is I learned how to put a condom on a banana, but the teacher was too embarrassed to say the word penis, so I really didn't get it until I overheard conversations in the ladies' room. So this is how many of us are educated. I mean, it's kind of comical. So now I'm going to show you some diagrams of the female body. And some of this will be old information, some of it may be brand new. In our program, you'll be getting more familiar with your female anatomy, which includes the external structures of the female genitalia, as well as the inside of the vagina and throughout the pelvis. So this diagram gives you the names of your external lady parts. Know that it is normal for there to be huge differences in the appearance of these structures from one woman to another. And, I want to say to you that it's become popular these days for women to have reconstructive surgery on their external genitalia because they think that there's a certain way they're supposed to look, and that's coming from the internet. And some of those internet porn stars are actually having that surgery done, and so men have the idea of what the women are supposed to look like, and many women are going to change what is absolutely perfectly normal and having unnecessary surgeries. And again, there needs to be education. And, listen, I want to mention here, and you'll hear me say this perhaps a couple of times, at no point in this program do I want you to take my word for any of this information. I want you to take the time to explore information, explore your own female anatomy as soon as possible. Find out what's true for you. I do want to encourage you to take your time with this assignment. So what I did was I gave you a copy of this handout. You can easily download it by just clicking on the handout button on your screen. If you join our sexual education program, you'll receive a yoni exploration kit, amongst other things, which will help you to explore all the parts of your yoni. And this yoni is a very loving word for your genitalia in your vagina. All of these activities are optional, though. But for now, your play at home, which we call home play, is to just start with any hand mirror to find as many of the structures on this diagram as you can. Oh, and if you're watching on the webcast, just look to your right and click on the Mystery is Over button there. It will take you to where you can download a copy of this diagram. In this program, we, as I mentioned, lovingly refer to all of the female parts, and the word that takes on all of the genitalia is yoni. Sometimes the external parts, such as you see on this map, are referred to as the yard or playground. The playground you'll be playing with is a part of your body, and I'm here to encourage you to be kind and loving to yourself as you discover and perhaps map out what you find and what's possible and pleasurable to you with your own sweet body. That being said, it's a gentle process to be able to appreciate, love, and care for parts of your body that you may have either ignored, been embarrassed about, or have even felt were ugly in your past. Now is the time to change all of that. And listen, it's normal for feelings to show up when you do this work. Please just notice, and better still, write down whatever comes up. We'll take care of those issues during the program. So let's take a look at what makes the sexual machine work. This is the pelvic floor looking from the bottom up. So you'll see, with my yellow marker here, I'm going to mark that's the front of the body there. Here's the back of the body, and we're kind of pointing right towards a vertebra right there. And there's the pelvic floor. Here's all the pelvic floor right here, all these muscles. There's 3 muscle layers that support the pelvic organs and all of the yoni and other sexual tissues. I'll show you a different diagram in just a bit that will help you understand that. It also includes the nerves controlling the muscles and the stretchy rubber band-like fascia, which connects all of the parts together, as well as the ligaments that link the bones to each other and to the muscles and to the organs that sit above the pelvic floor. All of these muscles, fascia, nerves, and ligaments make up the floor of the pelvis, and together they act like a sling to cushion and support the genitals and the pelvic organs. And the pelvic organs are the uterus, the bladder, and the rectum. The pelvic floor controls your continence by signaling elimination urges for the bladder and the bowels by opening and closing the urethra and the anal canals to allow you to void. But the pelvic floor also is the mechanism of sexual function. Contracting the muscles around all of your genitals helps them to respond to arousal and to intensify and lengthen your orgasms. So the way I see it, there are 2 blocks that are keeping us from experiencing awesome sex at any age. And that is tissue or structural damage that happens in life, like I told you that I had, and also lack of education. So I have 7 slides that I'm going to show you now on the health of the tissues, and then we're going to completely focus on essential female sexual health education. And if you're up for it, I also prepared a short quiz and your first home play assignment as well. The health of the pelvic floor is essential for pelvic organ and sexual function. An irritated or chronically infected bladder could end up causing you pain running down your legs, while a strained groin muscle might lead to bloating and bowel retention. A bruised tailbone might end up causing bladder or bowel dysfunction or even sexual dysfunction. And as the injury or irritation gets worse, the muscles can shorten and tighten even further. This has the overall effect of weakening the entire pelvic floor. And once the pelvic floor becomes weakened, the symptoms of the original problem become worse. Chronic irritation or infection can create increased inflammation in the area, eventually causing scar tissue and adhesions to form, which of course cause more pain or discomfort. Something as simple as a case of constipation or diarrhea can lead to a muscle spasm within the pelvic floor, and that in turn can cause tingling, pressure, or pain throughout the abdominal core. It can then radiate to the groin, the legs, the hips, or the genitals. All of these conditions can and do lead to immediate or even delayed sexual dysfunction and chronic sexual dissatisfaction. So, what about when a woman gives birth? Both vaginal and C-section deliveries require that a woman's body opens up to allow another person to pass through and be born. Many women who have experienced vaginal births often have lasting changes to the pelvic organs, structure, and to many of the tissues of the pelvis. I can attest to that. And there's different yet significant and lasting damage that can also happen to those who experience C-sections. It is impossible to have a vaginal birth and not have at least some moderate or even severe damage to the bladder, urethra, as well as to the clitoris and all of her neighboring erectile tissues. So mothers, you can benefit tremendously and recover your sexual and reproductive health more quickly and completely by receiving education, such as appropriate exercises and certain types of touch therapy to recuperate these tissues after birth, and definitely prior to engaging once again in intercourse. If you want to learn more about how to prepare for and recover from birth, please contact this office for more information. And all the contact information will be on the last slide of this presentation. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what we know about these pelvic organ issues. We know that 50%, half of women that have had a child, a birth, develop pelvic organ prolapse, and that would be a vaginal birth. We know that 30 to 50% of sufferers from incontinence, and up to 78% of those with organ prolapse never seek treatment. That is an amazing number of people that are suffering. And we know that there's tremendous number of women that report urinary incontinence, and urinary incontinence, by the way, is the number one reason why mature women lose their independence and end up in nursing homes. So we really do want to prevent this. And there's a lot of women that are suffering from it. And at least 10%, if not more, of women will choose to have surgery at least 1 to 4 times for pelvic organ prolapses, at least in the United States. And I know that this is happening in other countries as well. The percentage is much higher in Brazil, I found out just recently. And so every year, there are a number of women that come to our program because they're suffering with sexual pain. Most have been given little to no helpful information, just like me, and no hope of recovery. And some have been told just to buck up and perform their wifely duty anyway. In my opinion, this is barbaric. If you are experiencing pain with sex, please do not continue. This can be causing further physical damage, but it will also damage a woman's psyche and sense of self-worth, and can potentially destroy relationships, as you can imagine. In the last 5 years, there's been a revolution in the understanding of these pelvic health problems, and the truth is that 80 to 90% of cases can be treated successfully without medication or surgery. That's why I developed the Pelvic Health Transformation Program, to teach women how to regain normal pelvic floor and pelvic organ function. In fact, a portion of those who are already enrolled in the Mystery is Over Understanding Female Sexual Health program are our participants from this year's Pelvic Health Transformation Program. They've spent most of this year working hard to recover their pelvic health and are now ready and excited to enter into the world of female sexuality, some of them for the very first time. The whole subject of pelvic floor issues or sexual dysfunction may be one you're not comfortable talking about, not to your partner or a friend or even to your healthcare provider. Often women believe that urinary incontinence or organ prolapse or female sexual dysfunction is a normal consequence of giving birth or aging. And most are understandably reluctant to seek help. It's embarrassing. And so they're not only embarrassed, they might have been told by healthcare providers or family members or, maybe their mom or grandma or their friends that no useful remedies exist and that nothing more can be done for them. And I can tell you that I receive exactly those messages, and quite often. So if you know of any women that are having problems with their pelvic floor and have interest in natural solutions, have them contact the office for more information. Again, all the contact information will be on the last slide of this presentation. So I just mentioned a term you may never have heard before. FSD, or female sexual dysfunction, is a term used by healthcare providers to describe difficulties in libido, or sex drive, difficulties with arousal, orgasm, or having pain associated with sexual activity that are at least bothersome to an individual. Sexual dysfunction may be a lifelong program or may be acquired later in life after a period of time of having no difficulties with sex. It may be associated with childbirth, sports injuries, menopause, or other types of hormone imbalances. There are quite a lot of different methods to successfully address these issues. In The Mystery is Over, Understanding Sexual Health, I will be giving all of this information and, in some cases, individual attention for those who are dealing with female sexual dysfunction. I really want you to know that there are answers for you. You don't have to suffer anymore, and I'm very happy to help you. So here is a short quiz I want you to take to determine if you have female sexual dysfunction. It was originally developed by Dr. Debbie Herbenik from the Indiana University Medical School. I would like you to take your time with this quiz, so I gave you a copy on the handout. You can easily download it by just clicking on the handout button on your screen. I really like it because it's simple, it's straight to the point, and helps women know that there's an answer for the symptoms that they've been experiencing. So, now that you've met the playground, it's time to look a bit deeper and meet some of your arousal team. So we're going to find out how to use your lady parts and where they are. First, let's take a look at some of our parts from a side view. This is a side view of the female genitalia, the pelvic organs, and let me take you through this. I want to orient you. Here's the bladder, uterus, rectum, okay? And you'll see that they're kind of stacked on top of each other. And this right here is the clitoris. Okay, I'll take my mark away. Here's your pubic bone, and you can find that. And so This starts to show you how deep the clitoris goes into the body, but I'm going to show you a little bit more in a bit. But there's the head of the clitoris right here, and the body. There's the shaft, and this is the crus clitoris right here. Well, I'll show you a little bit more in just a bit. Here's the vagina, and at the top of the vagina, that thing that feels like the end of your nose is your cervix, and you'll see that the cervix is actually a part of the uterus. Let's see. So this is showing you really the relationship of a portion of the erectile network, and the erectile network does include the urethra, and you'll see the urethral sponge. This is a very important part of your erectile tissue. The vagina and the anal canal, the bladder, uterus, and the front and back view gives you an idea of all of how everything is aligned with each other, and this is very, very important. Pound for pound, inch for inch, women have approximately the same amount or a bit more erectile tissue as men do. So if you're still thinking that getting turned on is still all about the head of the clitoris, you're definitely going to want to think again. Nevertheless, the clitoris is still the lead singer in the band, but there's also many more players in your female orgasm team, most of which are unknown or misunderstood. So we're going to have time to look at some of them today, but for now, let's take a closer look at the clitoris. Most anatomical representations of the clitoris just show the tiny head of the clitoris, which we consider the tip of our volcano. Here she is right here. And so in this diagram, there's the glands, just like the head of a penis. The head of the clitoris is called the glans clitoris. Here you have the body of the clitoris. There's also, and I don't know if you can see, it's very light on your diagram. There's two, and they're shown to be quite flaccid right here. There's two legs coming down that come on either side of the vagina, and that's called the corpus cavernosum. And coming down along either side is the crus clitoris, and these right here are called the vestibular bulbs. And those you're going to find right behind the labia majora, okay? So the big lips, right behind those, inside of those, is where you're going to find those. And so although the vestibular bulbs are considered to and are drawn in medical texts as being separate tissue from the clitoris, they are now starting to be considered by most sexologists as two other legs. So the clitoris actually has 6 legs: the 2 corpus cavernosum, 2 crus clitoris, and 2 vestibular bulbs, which really should be called the clitoral bulbs. Let's get our sonograph up. So this is a depiction of a sonograph of an erect clitoris from above. So here are the 2 corpus cavernosum. Here is the crus clitoris, and these are fully erect. And here is the body, and you can't quite see the head of the clitoris, but it'll be kind of below that bulge. But this is a fully erect clitoris. And you can see that when erect, the corpora cavernosa surround the vagina on either side as if they're wrapping around the vagina, giving it a big hug. These 2 legs also extend further, and then there's what's called a bifurcation that splits off into the crus clitoris, and these 2 legs can extend at least to 9 centimeters, and pointing towards the thighs when they're at rest, when they're flaccid, but look how they stretch way back towards the spine when they're erect. To picture them at rest, imagine the crus as the shape of a wishbone. They join together at the body of the clitoris where they attach to the pubic symphysis, and that's the pubic bone, which if you reach down, if nobody's watching, you can feel the bone just above your labia and above the clitoris. Near each of the clitoris, on either side of the vaginal opening, are the clitoral vestibules, or vestibular bulbs. These are internally under the labia majora. When they become engorged with blood, they actually press into the vaginal opening, causing the vulva to expand outward. So when you get all these structures engorged and excited, you'll get a clitoris that has 4 fully engorged legs plus the bulbs and is affecting the entire pelvic floor, and it reaches directly back to the spine. The engorged cavernosa and the 2 vestibular bulbs will create a hungrier, tighter-feeling vaginal opening. This clitoral complex we refer to in our program as Xena. Remember Xena, the warrior princess? And it's just one of 3 axes of erectile tissue that all women have. We're not going to have time to visit the other 2 today, but we will have a chance to visit and personally experience all 3 of these in our program. So, the head and shaft of the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings connected with 15,000 nerve fibers in the pelvic area, more than any part of the body. So we're talking about the head and the shaft. Wow. What does that look like? Doesn't it look like a penis that's kind of bent? And the head looks very much like that, doesn't it? All this is very, very nerve enriched, and it is very much erectile tissue, just like the legs of the clitoris are. And so I just told you it has 8,000 nerve endings connecting to 15,000 nerve fibers in the entire pelvis. So this tissue, this tiny bit of tissue, connects to the entire pelvis. And just for comparison's sake, the head and shaft of the male penis has only 4,000 nerve endings. However, the foreskin of an uncircumcised male has 20,000 nerve endings, making it 85% of the erotogenic sensations of the entire male body. In other words, the normal, uncircumcised penis has many more nerve endings than a woman's clitoris, and 5 times the erotogenic sensations of the circumcised male. Yet the circumcised male only has half of the erotogenic sensations of the women's genitals. Because of the high density of nerve endings, the clitoris must have extra special care and should never be the first member of your team to receive attention. She's the queen, and her needs will be very different from one woman to another. So as a result, there are quite a few different types of massages for the entire clitoris. However, once a woman learns how to engage all the parts of her clitoris and the surrounding structures, or has an appropriately educated partner, she may want very little or perhaps no stimulation to this area. So here's a little bit closer, 3/4 side look at the female genitalia and the pelvic floor organs. This diagram is showing us the relationship of the whole erectile network, including the urethral sponge. Here it is right here. Here's the vagina. Let's see. You'll orient. Here's the vaginal opening. Here's the vagina going up. And here's the cervix. There's the anus right here and rectum. Okay. And now the pubic bone is kind of shown off to the side here. It's not really lined up, so it's sort of cannywampus there, but know that the clitoris is actually attached to the pubic symphysis, or the pubic bone, right there. But here you can imagine the labia would be in here. These are the labia majora, okay, and the perineum would be right in here. And and here's the opening of the urethra right here, and again the vaginal opening. So I just want you to be oriented. Notice that the clitoris is situated just behind the pubic bone. And this is really good news because both the clitoris and the G-spot have nerves that connect to this area. Stimulation on the front of the pubic bone can help to engorge the urethral sponge and the clitoris, as well as deepen and spread the intensity of orgasm. I also want to point out the A-spot. The A-spot is right back here. It's called the anterior and posterior fornix, or the area at the very top of the vagina. It does not include the cervix. It consists of a very smooth area above or deeper than the wrinkles or the rugae of the vagina. We're going to give plenty of details and instructions about how to find your A-spot, as well as methods to enjoy the whole body orgasms that she can give you. And of course, we're going to be taking care in the program of all the different ways of caring for the clitoris as well. We'll also be teaching methods to include the pubic bone and other surrounding erectile tissues, such as the round ligaments and G-spot in our program. So let's take a look at that G-spot. I know that some of you are already curious. So, urethral sponge, female prostate, source of female ejaculation, the Grafenberg spot or G-spot, sacred spot, source of Shakti, the garden of female power, whatever you want to call it, these are all the same structure. This is a special place in a woman's body, and some of you may have already discovered it, but most of you, I know, have not. It's unlikely your mother or grandmother even knew about this, and you surely didn't learn about it in high school sex education class. So here is, I'm going to orient you again. Here's the vagina, and at the very top, the cervix. Here you have the bladder, okay, and the urethra coming down. And in this diagram, you can see that they're pointing out the G-spot being on the vaginal wall, and somewhat within the vaginal wall, which is correct, and they show it being on the posterior side or the back side of the urethra. I'll make a case that it actually goes completely around the urethra and is attached to the vaginal wall. And I'll give you some information that you might not know. I mean, most women have found out or maybe have experienced that if you have frequent sex that you can get a bladder infection. And the connection between the bladder and the vagina is right there at the G-spot. So it actually is a connection directly through from the vagina to the urethra and can introduce bacteria from the vagina into the bladder. Okay? So that's why frequent sex or, a new partner can turn into a UTI very easily. So the G-spot is really includes the female prostate. And the female prostate goes around the urethra just like it does in a man. And so a male prostate surrounds the male urethra, where ours does as well. The G-spot is exactly the place that needs to be stimulated in order for a woman to properly achieve ejaculation. For those of you who are new to this concept, female ejaculation is something we all are capable of. And just to set the record straight, it is not a myth. It's quite normal and nothing to be ashamed of. The liquid that comes out is not anything close to urine and is, in fact, very similar and possibly identical to male ejaculate, but without the sperm. And there's no question that more research is needed, but I'm not sure how easy it is right now for scientists to get NIH funding to study female ejaculate. That would be an interesting proposal. So here is another recent and somewhat different diagram showing the G-spot, but it is only shown to be on the vaginal wall and not connected to the urethra. So you see they're showing it right in here. Let's do that in yellow so you can see it better there. They're showing it to be on the vaginal wall, but not anything having to do with the urethra. So this is actually a fairly recent diagram, and today most healthcare providers are still entirely unaware that women, just like men, have prostates and are just as capable of ejaculation. So I'm going to encourage you to use the term female prostate. It's so important, especially when we speak to our practicing physicians who are all familiar with the male prostate. They've got to learn it somewhere. So, despite the research that's been done and the increasing numbers of gushy women that are sharing their delight, there's tremendous controversy among sex researchers regarding the existence of the G-spot. However, for women who have experienced ejaculation or for those that have found a new pleasure spot, having a name for it really helps to confirm their experience. And I wanted to give you this quote. So this is a professor of psychiatry, and she says, "I really can't say from my clinical practice that I'm at all convinced that there's a G-spot. I think a lot of women are very frustrated trying to attain something that may not be attainable." So I'm deeply embarrassed for her, the poor dear. Once you've experienced your G-spot and a G-spot orgasm, consider sending Dr. Saltz a quick note so she might gracefully correct her statements and rewrite her books. So, but I have to say that, even though modern science may not know exactly yet what female ejaculation is all about, the women who experience female ejaculation and the whole body, what will I say? It's whole body orgasms and elation that comes with G-spot stimulation are only too happy to conduct their own experiments, and whether they're alone or preferably with their, to teach their most intimate partners about this. Very, very important. Education is essential and missing. So evidently, there's not only controversy, but quite a bit of G-spot stimulation misinformation in books, and especially on the Internet. This diagram is from a medical text and shows a potentially damaging technique that entirely misses proper G-spot stimulation. Nevertheless, they still get 1 star from me for recognizing that we actually have one. We will be going over various appropriate techniques for G-spot stimulation so that you can find the one that works best for you. And, okay, hold on to your hats. I'm about to go woo-woo on you here because I've learned that you cannot speak of the G-spot without discussing the energy systems of the body. According to many Eastern medical cultures, the G-spot is the place where the body movement originates. It's been recognized for centuries as the seat of your body's function and power, and many religious cultures attribute spiritual as well as physical significance to this part of the body, seeing it as the source of our vital life force energy. In the Chinese culture, the pelvic floor is the home of qi, which is the life energy that must flow freely in our bodies in order for us to be healthy. In the Japanese martial arts, it's known as the hara, or the vital center of self. And in Hindu religion, it's the center of the second chakra and shares with the first chakra at the perineum as the source of power for kundalini energy, which, when awakened, feels like an energetic quilted serpent that winds up and through you and your lover's chakras. We'll look at the energy centers in the program and teach you how to access your first 2 energy centers quite well. But I need to let you know about this because if you start practicing this, you may be surprised at having experiences of this kundalini kind of energy moving through you. So I better warn you about it. Let me just say that when your female sexuality is fully awakened, you can experience powerful sexual energy, and there's many different ways to experience it. The ancient Hindu word for this female sexual energy is Shakti. Shakti energy is real, and it's available to every single woman. It has the potential to profoundly and deeply affect the woman that cultivates it, and she, in turn, can profoundly affect her intimate partner's sexual experience and body energy systems as well. It's truly my wish that every woman has the opportunity to experience the healing and transformative effects of Shakti. It's our birthright. So here I want to show you Shakti. Shakti is actually an ancient Hindu word from Sanskrit for the goddess of creative power. The Hindu people and many other cultures have positive male-female role models in their religion that teaches partnership, cooperation, and sacred sexual union. Unfortunately, our Western culture lacks an empowered divine culture to model our relationships on. Instead, we have TV that models for us the use of sex to increase program ratings and sell everything from cars to toothpaste. Sex in our Western societies gets confused with our financially based culture. It's complicated by the myths promulgated by pornography and is really completely poorly or misunderstood. When a woman experiences Shakti energy, it's often described as being a state of heightened vitality and creativity. She may be more in touch with her intuitive side, finding it easier to express herself creatively and have a deepened sense of spirituality as well. These qualities have been associated with femininity in many cultures for thousands of years, and it's not a surprise that these qualities would arise in response to healthy and complete sexual experiences. Later, I'll share with you a few responses of some of our participants. Listen for their happiness and gratification. These healing and growth experiences that our ladies tell us about make this work deeply gratifying for me and spur me on to continue the work of bringing this program to you. Before we go into secret number 3, I want to tell you a little about the Mystery is Over Understanding Female Sexual Health program. The Mystery is a home study program where you'll get step-by-step instructions and home play assignments for all of the erectile tissues, including all parts of the clitoris, the G-spot, A-spot, and other erectile tissues that we haven't gotten into yet. The types of massages focus on opening energetic and circulatory pathways that are connected to your yoni, all of the erectile tissues, and it includes the reproductive organs. This type of massage, whether associated with orgasm or not, will bring regeneration and nourishment not only to the tissues of your entire pelvis, but is going to feel regenerative for your whole body and soul. And you're also going to get to meet a variety of top-notch experts in various areas of female sexual health. In module number 1, we're going to go over the anatomy of the female orgasm. And we're going to be talking a little bit about communication challenges and giving you some new language around sex and language around our parts that's not baby language, medical, or derogatory. We're going to be learning how to achieve a full clitoral erection, and we'll learn the mechanism of orgasm infertility. And we're going to be addressing libido, any kind of vaginal atrophy issues that might be going on, and other yoni concerns, and expand your concept of sex. In module number 2, we have G-spot techniques, female ejaculation we'll be getting into, and we'll be looking at addressing any dry or damaged vaginal tissues. You have to take care of that. We're going to be learning breathing techniques and step-by-step sequences for multiple orgasms. So if you haven't done that before, that can be fun. And we'll be talking about safe sex, and we're going to do an interview with Robin LaCrosse, who's a holistic healthcare practitioner. And in module number 3, we're going to be offering guidance in the bedroom, teaching you how to communicate with a partner. We're going to be really taking on headlong into sexual shame. And I know that you have that. It's not a surprise. And guess what? It's normal. And I'll teach you how to take care of that. And we're going to be talking with sexologist Amy Jo Goddard, who is going to take you through some ways of empowering yourself and how to hold that past shame that may have been holding you back. And we'll be doing Module 4, that's sexual healing and sacred spot massage. We have our Tantrika, Caroline Muir. You're going to love her. She's just so sweet, and she has so much experience in the whole of the tantric concepts, sacred sexual union, and she really understands about that female sexual energy or Shakti energy. We're going to be getting into, again, deeper into female ejaculation, the art of self-pleasuring, and more into the physiology of orgasm. So that is just an amazing module. And then we're going to be talking about expanding your orgasmic pathways, and we're going to be really getting into different types of orgasms. I want everyone to have at least a base of 7 different orgasms that you can achieve, and you understand how to get to those. I think that would give you a good base, although there's many, many more to play with. And we'll be talking about balancing hormones and the connection between hormones and libido and how that affects your sexual experience. We'll talk about, I'll be bringing in some more techniques into that class as well, and we're going to be addressing some other problems that you may be having, and by then we'll have good communication, so I'll be learning more about what your needs are. So we'll be addressing those. And module number 6 is all about keeping your relationship fresh and exciting. So new adventures, play in the bedroom, and maybe bringing up, how do you bring up new activities that you'd like to try? And, we want to abolish boring sex. So we're going to be interviewing Michelle and Sean Anderson. That is really a fun time as well. Then we get into, you're going to be hearing from so many different experts in different fields, and I'll go over all of these with you in just a little bit, in fact. During this program, you're going to be getting training calls. There's also going to be question and answer calls with myself and with guest speakers. You're going to receive in the mail a Yoni Exploration Kit and a published guidebook for the class. It'll be your manual. We're going to have techniques that will be demonstrated. There'll be an option to stay in contact with me directly, and you'll have an option to get in touch with other practitioners. If you hear from somebody in the course and you think, wow, I want to work with them, go for it. There's going to be plenty of home play activities for solo exploration and for play in the bedroom with your significant other. So as you make discoveries and connect with your feminine sexual energy, I'm going to encourage you to stay in contact with myself and the other women in the program through our private Facebook page. I want to tell you a bit of what it cost me to not have this information and what it cost monetarily to get the information, because there's huge loss when you don't have appropriate education. So earlier I told you what happened to me after the birth of my son. My organs were all out of sorts, sex was not fun, and I can assure you it didn't help my marriage. So what was the cost? It wasn't just the cost of the therapies that didn't work and the expense of the years of education. It was more the years of lost intimacy and connection. That was the biggest loss. I was frustrated and lonely even within a happy marriage, supposedly. This is what drove me to find solutions because I knew I wasn't the only woman experiencing this. I remember thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? Even before my gorgeous son was born, my sister-in-law handed me a book, and that was well over 20, almost 25 years ago now, on conscious sex. I said, what? Conscious sex? What is that? And I read that, and it turned my head. Isn't it amazing when you get a book and it just totally changes your world? I already realized that there was something more for the bedroom at that point. So even before the birth of my rather large baby boy and the pelvic floor disaster that followed, I was on a quest for useful information about sexuality, pleasure, connection, and intimacy that was easy to implement and made sense to me. So what did I invest? Well, I spent at least 20 years studying the pelvic floor and almost 25 years studying female sexuality. I spent a fortune on countless conferences, workshops, seminars, not to mention the expense of the numerous experts that often cost quite a bit and didn't help me at all. Actually, that's more true than I want to admit. I've studied with doctors, sexologists, communication experts, tantra experts, and many others to learn all of this. I even became, and I'm still, an active member of ISHWISH, which is the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health. I joined some years ago in order to stay on the cutting edge of female sexual health science around the world. And I attend and speak on this topic several times a year. You can try and figure out all of this yourself, like I did, and spend tens of thousands of dollars in the process. Or years of your life reading books and scientific papers, then sorting through all that information and misinformation and trying to make sense of it, like I did. Actually, I'm sure you can figure this out on your own, just like I did. But in case you don't want to make that investment in time, energy, and money, I've really already done it for you. I've done the heavy lifting in order to bring this information to you in a concise and organized fashion so that you don't have to figure it out on your own, or even worse, miss out entirely like millions of women before us. So now what I want to do is talk to you about the cost of the course. Currently, you can sign up anytime and make either 3 payments of $800 or one single payment of $2,000. But first, let me tell you about the special bonuses that we're offering right now. In the mail, you'll receive your Yoni Exploration Kit and a manual for the course. You'll get Yoni Healing Salve, tools for the course, and samples of our all-time favorite lubes, which you will be encouraged to play with. I'm also giving you 2 educational lectures to help those of you who are having sexual issues due to hormonal imbalances. And heads up, ladies, this is not only for the mature women. I've noticed more and more younger women with undiagnosed hormone imbalances. So these lectures are for all adult women to listen to. You'll also receive a selection of 8 of my female health seminars that will help you successfully attend to many female health concerns you may encounter. It'll give you natural solutions to many kinds of lady issues, and plus I'll give you a $20 coupon you can apply to other recordings that may interest you. Bonus number 4 is an ebook that will give you the information you need to make safe choices when selecting sex toys and personal lubricants, so I hope that's helpful for you. And we have bonus number 5. The famous Robin LaCrosse is going to give you a makeover session to teach you how to love your birth control. She really has it down on all the different types of contraception there are and will help you individually come up with a method of birth control that works well for your lifestyle and provides the level of protection you need. And she has a wealth of information. She might really surprise you. Bonus number 6 is from Lawrence Lanoff. He's providing all of you with special pricing on his Tantra Exo workshop. Did you know that the only people that don't have sexual shame are those that are truly sociopaths? I mentioned it earlier, and I'll say it again. It is completely normal to have sexual shame. There's lots we can do to heal it and release it. And Lawrence Lanoff is an amazing expert in the area of sexual shame and loving yet effective communication in the bedroom. He'll show you how to free yourself from sexual shame, increase your pleasure, move beyond limiting beliefs, and feel completely comfortable communicating with your beloved about your deepest desires. And there's more. There's bonus number 7. What you'll receive is access during the course to some other incredible interviews on topics that are meant to help you get your juices flowing. So, did that sound like a lot? Well, it was. Let me recap it for you. We have 6 training calls. You're going to get immediate access to a private member center where we'll keep all of your handouts and all the information for the course. It'll all be kept there, and videos and such. And you'll get access to a private Facebook group so we can talk to each other there, and you can chat. And then you're going to get your textbook or the manual, handouts, and home play assignments. You're going to get bonus number 1, which is the exploration kit, the educational seminars, the Women's Natural Health Solutions Health Series by me. You're going to get the ebook on safe lubes and toys. You get Love Your Birth Control Makeover Session with Robin LaCrosse. You don't want to miss that. And then special pricing on Lawrence Lanoff's workshop, so that's awesome. That's on sexual shame. And it actually touches a lot on communication as well. That's a really good workshop he does. And bonus number 7, you'll get quite a few interviews by a variety of sexual health experts from around the world. So let me tell you about our orgasmic guarantee. You'll have the opportunity to attend the first class, and you'll get a taste of the program. And if you feel like it's not for you, we'll refund your money minus a $149 processing fee. But you'll get to keep your Yoni Exploration Kit and the course manual, so you're not sending it back. We have some women who have told us, I have never had an orgasm in my life, and I'm fairly certain that this program can't help me. Well, listen, if this is you, if by the end of the course you are unable to achieve orgasm when working with your own body, we'll schedule some one-on-one consultation time with one of our orgasmic coaches to help you achieve this goal. I do have one more really important thing I want to tell you before we get into secret number 3. It's really important to me to make sure this information gets into your hands. So what I decided to do is to make this even easier for you. For a limited time, you can join the course for just 3 easy payments of $400, or you can pay in full for just $997. What you can do is go to themysteryisover.com/register. So that's www.themysteryisover.com/register to sign up. Be sure to write this website address down or use the button on your screen to access the web page. You might want to click over there right now because I have another surprise for you. Oh, and don't forget to come back because I don't want you to miss secret number 3, which is coming right up. So here's my surprise. If this course is a full body yes for you, sign up right now for a chance to be one of the first 5 people who will get a free one-on-one session with me. That website address again is www.themysteryisover.com/register. So what if I live in another country? Well, that's not a problem. If you have internet access, you can participate. Some women want to know, what if they're not in a relationship? Perfect. This course is designed specifically for women, and no partner is required. What if you have no libido? Well, it's time to get it back. We'll show you how. What if you can't afford it? Well, we do have a payment plan option where we are financing you. But just so you know, it's probably a bit cheaper to put it on your credit card and let your credit card company finance you. But more importantly, I want you to think about what it's costing you in other ways. How is a dull, boring, or non-existent sex life affecting you? And how about your partner? Sex is a key piece of intimacy, connection, and keeping your relationship fresh and vibrant. What if you could have your sex life any way you wanted it? What would it look like? What if you could eliminate the things that are blocking you from creating this in your life? How would this change your relationship with your partner, and more importantly, change your relationship with yourself? How would that change your life? Now, what about those of you who think they're too old for sex? You're done with sex. Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. Some of the best sex you'll ever have is after menopause. I know that this might be a big surprise for you mature ladies, but the clitoris does not age, and the intensity and repertoire of orgasms is much greater and easier to come by in the postmenopausal woman than in the fertile woman. So, is this course right for you? Stop and listen to your inner knowing. Listen to your intuition. Is this something that you would love to do? If this was free, would you do it? I guarantee you that even if this course was free, there would still be some people who wouldn't do it because it means they need to push that envelope and really be willing to open up and expand. Oh my gosh. Are you ready to step up to change your life, your relationships, and maybe allow yourself some pleasure? Obviously, this is not free, so I invite you to be decisive. Be bold. Embrace the healing that's possible as a result of this course. It will transform your life in ways you can't even imagine. Here's what some of our previous students have said. Dr. Sandy, this class has changed my life. Our intimacy was bland and boring. Things had become routine, and we were both losing interest. Thanks to your program, we have rediscovered our spark, and our playtime in the bedroom is much better than ever. Thanks so much. I love reading these to you because it gives you an idea of why I'm so excited about this program. This is, I shouldn't say, I almost said her name. Dr. Sandy, I want you to know that because of this class, my husband and I have continued our physical intimacy that we haven't had for years and years, over 22 years, she told me. What a great joy for both of us. To say the least, he is ecstatic and so am I. And this is a couple that actually called the office. They were both in tears. And here they are, they're in their 70s, and they're having ecstatic sex for the first time ever in their lives. And he was totally just the happiest guy alive. But she was bittersweet. She said to me, why is it that I didn't know about this years ago? Why wasn't I never told about this? And she's right. The education really needs to happen. We need to get this information out to the public. Another person, I remember, even though I haven't had a partner in years, I decided to enroll in your program for my own personal health and well-being. I cannot believe how much I have learned over these few short weeks. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandy. I had no idea I could take myself as a lover and have the most amazing sex I've ever had in my life. And this is, I remember this lady too. Thank you, Dr. Sandy, for this excellent course. Graphic mentoring is so amazingly helpful, and being with a group of explorer women and just being able to hear and talk about every possible aspect. This has helped me so much, and I look forward to continuing my home play. Eventually, there may be a partner. Big blessings to you and Robin and your staff. And I'm going to show you, let me see, I'm just going to give you one more. Thank you for reminding us to be slow in these new things, new information. It takes time for me to integrate all of this information and then practicing them for the rest of my life, feeling wonderful, sexy, and delicious. My husband is so happy I took this course. So these are some of the things that people have said, and I just thought I would want to share that with you so that you understand. I hope you got the feel of the change of what's happened in these people's lives. So ask yourself these questions. Are you truly satisfied with your sex life? Do you know deep down inside that there's more and you want to explore it? Did you enjoy the things you were learning about in the expert interview series, the Telesummit, and want to learn more? And finally, ask yourself, would you like my support? If the answer is yes, I truly hope we get to work together inside this incredible program because it will change your life. Ladies, I want you to know that there is literally nothing like this course on earth. I've taken a lot of courses. They've been really great. I've learned so much. But there's nothing like this one out there. I know that this is the most comprehensive program on female sexuality you will find. And I hope you can hear that I am really passionate about sharing this information. I'm doing this for you. I'm here for you. So secret number 3. I have been saying for years that the hardest thing for anyone to do is to know your need and speak your need. It's easy to convince yourself to settle for less. Women are raised to be so helpful and compliant, so eager to please others and afraid of rejection that we're often very quick to give up the things we need, especially when it comes to sex. What we need to see is that in doing this, we leave ourselves chronically frustrated. While it's true that every relationship requires a certain amount of compromise, going without the things that we really need just doesn't work. We end up unhappy in the relationship or resentful towards our partners. The bottom line is we need to know our own needs, what we can't live without sexually, and what we just can't live with. We ignore these non-negotiables at the expense of a completely fulfilling sex life. This is why it's much easier to take yourself as a lover. We ladies absolutely need to feel safe and completely at ease in order to have great sex. If we're afraid to ask for what we want or unable to tell our partner that we don't like something, sex will never be more than mediocre. Once we've completed secret number 1 and secret number 2, so find all of your parts and know how to use them, and have identified what we like and don't like, we then need to express these needs clearly to our partners. Oh dear, you might be thinking, how is that going to work? Well, I'm sure you'll agree that it's not fair to expect our partners to be mind readers and prove that they truly care by somehow knowing what we want without our actually telling them. In class, we're going to be going over ways to help your partner to enter this new world with confidence and to help them to listen to your needs and to nurture you and to want to hone their techniques. We also need to be in touch with our beautiful bodies, with what feels good, what feels not so good, and what feels wrong. We also really need to stop judging ourselves in terms of our weight and our shape. Only a superficial person would give us a hard time over our imperfections. Consider the possibility of embracing imperfection. Embrace the world the way it is. Embrace your body the way it is. It's really a beautiful world to go there and to stop looking for complete perfection anywhere in your life. If someone makes you feel bad about yourself, this is more a reflection of their inadequacy and lack of confidence rather than your own. Our negative self-talk requires gentle retraining in order to turn it into loving and empowering affirmations. Any running commentary on how fat we are, how much cellulite, or how many wrinkles we have is guaranteed to kill the mood, often before it starts. So ladies, beautiful divas, your magnificence goes so far beyond how you look. practicing some level of self-love and acceptance is crucial if we're going to let go and enjoy ourselves, have pleasure. Being physically self-conscious will keep us from experiencing the joyful abandon of really great sex. Now, in the old days, some women were led to believe that the way to get a man to toe the line is to offer sex for good behavior or withhold it when a man has displeased them. Most of us today recognize this as an inappropriate behavior and a recipe for relationship disaster. Our partners don't want to be controlled or punished, especially around sex. When we're hurt or angry at our partner, we need to share our feelings with them in a mature way. We can say that we're too upset for sex. We can say that we're too upset for sex right now. What we mustn't ever do is make your most intimate partner feel like you're deciding when they get to have sex based on whether they've been good or bad. In addition, using sex as a reward turns us into sex objects and makes sex into a commodity for our partner to earn. It's no longer two people being intimate or enjoying each other. That's called commodifying sex. And commodifying sex makes it into a business transaction, and then our bodies become objects for trade, and this is not good. I'm also going to encourage you to make of the bedroom a distraction-free zone. The home phones have volume controls. Use them. Cell phones have batteries. Remove them. Thank goodness small children can sleep deeply and can be in another room to allow you full expression. Older children might need to visit a relative or a trusted sitter. And I know you might love Fluffy or Rover a lot, but they don't belong in the bedroom when you're being intimate. Our pets can be territorial and could get jealous or want to get some of that playtime too. Dogs might whine, bark, or even growl. Cats are known to jump into the bed and start walking on your head. We can avoid these distractions by simply shutting the door and leave our four-legged friends outside. Sex is about connection and intimacy, but it's also about having fun. It can be mind-blowingly great, or occasionally things can go wrong. Having a good sense of humor about sex will keep everything in perspective. And being able to laugh at ourselves and at the comical aspects of sex will take the pressure off the whole experience. We might love and adore our partner, but we don't have to be so serious about making love to them. Humor relieves the pressure and is a great way to connect with each other. So I'm going to encourage you to remember how to play in the bedroom. When we first start out with our sexual education, you're going to be spending some time playing with and learning about your own body. If there are issues with libido, discomfort, or pain, we're going to discuss ways to overcome those obstacles. Eventually, it will be time to either communicate with your partner or, if you are solo, accept yourself as your lover. As you enter into this process, your partner might understand everything you need immediately, but probably won't. You probably won't understand all of your needs either. Your needs are going to evolve through the program, so don't expect your partner to understand it all or become your perfect lover all at once. Developing great sex in an established relationship is going to be a gradual process, and it has the amazing potential to really recreate your relationship, to deepen love and respect for each other in ways that you never expected to have happen. All this new information might be super exciting for you, but it may be intimidating for your partner. So I'm going to encourage you to have your partner watch the videos with you again after the class has aired. So you'll be seeing the information a second time, and they're going to get introduced to it, and they'll have the opportunity to ask questions and can ask their questions through you. The best sex is the kind in which each person is trying to please the other one. The sharing in sex is one of the things that makes it great. It can be technically amazing, but when one person gets the impression that the other person really isn't there with them, it can ruin the whole experience. What makes someone a fantastic lover is not their technical ability or their repertoire of moves, but their attentiveness and their efforts to make their partner happy. When both people show that they really care about meeting their partner's needs, sex becomes something wonderful and satisfying. This program may be your very first foray into self-discovery or the next step in the transformative life you've already chosen to live. You have the option of taking small little steps or jumping in with 2 feet. So no matter what choices you make, please honor yourself for where you are right now. Where you are right now is absolutely perfect. And I want to strongly encourage you to treat yourself and your partner, if you have one, with gentle care, compassion, and love always. Honestly, nothing else really works. Today's talk laid a foundation for what we'll be covering in the program, The Mystery is Over, Understanding Female Sexual Health. We did secret number 1, know your lady parts. Secret number 2, I started to introduce you as to where your lady parts are and gave you the background of learning how to use them. And we talked about know your need and speak your need, especially within a relationship. I deeply believe it's time for women of all ages to discover their sexual potential. And I thought it would be appropriate to quote Dr. Saltz, who is a best-selling author and television commentator. And she said, "Seeing sex in only physical terms is an old-fashioned and ineffective approach that's based on fundamental misunderstanding, like treating tuberculosis with breathing exercises, which we did before we knew that tuberculosis was caused by a bacterium. We know better now. So we know better now for female sexual health as well. What would our world be like if all women had this type of sexual health training? Complete comfort with sex, no shame, deeper satisfaction, deeper pleasure, greater creative expression, and the potential to develop deep and connected relationships with our partners, our children, and more importantly, with ourselves. How would the world change if women actually learned that they'd never been broken at all and are actually perfect exactly the way they are? The only thing that's missing is education. I've watched the profound effect this program has had on the women that join. This type of training creates happier lives for our graduates and those they touch. It is possible now to approach your sexuality from the inside out and create a ripple effect that will change how you think, feel, and behave in every aspect of your life. I'm confident that the Mystery is Over, Understanding Female Sexual Health program has the potential not only to relieve and prevent much suffering in the world, but it's a pleasurable way for you to transform your world. Come and see for yourself. So the website is themysteryisover.com/register. And here on this slide, you'll see all of our contact information. The phone number is 520-743-0575. And you see our website and for the office down below. But it's themysteryisover.com/register in order to come to the program. So I look forward to meeting you in the program. Bye-bye.